The afternoon sun beat down hard on Route 9 when the rumble of motorcycles filled the air like distant thunder rolling through a quiet town that had seen better days. A group of 12 bikers, leather-jacketed and road-worn, pulled into a gas station just off the main street of a small town called Millhaven, a place where most people knew each other's names and most people pretended not to notice when one of their own was suffering. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. Also tell us in the comments where in the world are you watching from. The bikers were part of a riding club called Iron Hearts, men and women who spent their weekends on the open road, but who had a quiet tradition of stopping wherever life seemed to call them. They had no idea that on this particular Saturday, life was about to call very loudly. As the engines died down and the riders stretched their legs, a small voice cut through the noise like a knife through silence. "Sir, excuse me, sir. Will you buy my bike?" Standing at the edge of the gas station parking lot was a little girl, no older than 7, with tangled brown hair pulled into an uneven ponytail and wide brown eyes that carried a weight no child should ever have to carry. She was holding the handlebars of a small pink bicycle. Its plastic streamers faded from too many seasons in the sun. One training wheel slightly bent. The biggest biker of the group, a broad-shouldered man named Ray, who had a graying beard and hands like shovels, crouched down to her level without a second thought. "Hey there, little one. What's your name?" he asked, his voice surprisingly gentle for a man his size. "Lily," she whispered, her chin trembling just slightly. "And why do you want to sell your bike, Lily?" Ray asked, though something in his chest had already begun to tighten. Lily looked down at the cracked pavement for a moment and then looked back up with eyes that were glassy but determined. "Because Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days, and we don't have any food, and I thought maybe someone would want my bike and then I could bring Mommy something to eat." The words hit the entire group like a wave. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. A woman named Dana, who always rode at the back of the group and who had raised 3 children of her own, pressed her hand over her mouth. Ray reached out and very gently placed his large hand on top of Lily's small one where it gripped the handlebar. "Where is your mommy right now, sweetheart?" he asked. Lily pointed down the road toward a row of small houses with peeling paint and overgrown lawns. "She's home. She says she's not hungry, but I know she is because her stomach makes sounds, and she didn't eat my leftovers yesterday, and she always eats my leftovers." Ray stood up and looked at his group, and not a single word needed to be said. Dana was already walking toward the small convenience store attached to the gas station. 2 other riders followed her. Ray held out his hand to Lily and said, "We're not going to buy your bike, Lily, because you're going to need it. But will you take us to your mommy?" Lily looked uncertain for just a moment, the way children do when they've been taught to be careful with strangers. And then something in Ray's eyes must have told her what she needed to know, because she nodded and took his hand and walked beside him down the road, her pink bike rolling beside her. When they reached the house, the door was unlocked and Lily pushed it open, calling out, "Mommy, some people want to help us." The woman who appeared from the small, dim hallway looked like someone who had once been full of life, but had been slowly emptied out. Her name was Sarah. She was perhaps 30 years old, but her eyes looked older, dark-circled and cautious, and she immediately stepped protectively in front of Lily the way mothers do when the world has taught them that most surprises are bad ones. Ray held up both hands and said simply, "We're not here to cause any trouble, ma'am. Your daughter flagged us down. We just want to help." Sarah's jaw tightened and she shook her head. "We're fine," she said, which was so obviously untrue that the words seemed to hurt even her to say them. Dana came through the door, then carrying 2 bags of groceries, and said quietly, "Please, just let us leave these. That's all." Something in Sarah's face cracked open then, just a little, and her eyes filled with tears. She was clearly fighting hard not to shed. While Dana helped Sarah in the kitchen, Ray sat on the front step with Lily and gently asked her questions, the way you have to with children. sideways and slowly, never pushing too hard. And piece by piece the story came out. 6 months ago, Sarah's husband had left, but not just left in the ordinary, heartbreaking way that men sometimes leave. He had cleaned out their joint bank account, cancelled the lease on their car without telling her, and used her name to take out a loan that he never repaid, leaving her with debt she hadn't created and a credit score in ruins. She had lost her job when the company downsized and had been trying to find work ever since, but without a car and with a child to care for, and with the crushing weight of financial devastation pressing on her from every direction. Each day had become harder than the last. She had been too ashamed to ask for help and too exhausted to know where to begin. By the time Ray came back inside, the other riders had gathered quietly in the small living room, and Dana had made tea, and Lily was sitting at the kitchen table eating a sandwich. With the focused seriousness of a child who is genuinely hungry, Ray sat across from Sarah and said, "We know some people. We want to help if you'll let us." And Sarah, who had spent 6 months holding everything together with bare hands and sheer will, finally nodded and let the tears fall. What happened in the weeks that followed was the kind of thing that doesn't make the news, but that changes lives permanently and completely. The Ironhearts put the word out through their network, and a local mechanic donated a refurbished car. A member of the group who worked in employment law spent 2 evenings helping Sarah understand her rights regarding the fraudulent loan her husband had taken in her name. A local diner owner who was part of their extended community offered Sarah part-time work that fit around Lily's school hours. Her collection, taken up quietly among the riders and their families, covered 2 months of groceries and utilities while Sarah found her footing. On the day, Sarah drove her donated car for the first time to pick Lily up from school. Lily ran to her mother and hugged her, and then looked up and said, "See, Mommy, I told you the bikers would help." Sarah held her daughter tight and laughed and cried at the same time in the way that only happens when relief is so enormous it has nowhere else to go. Lily never did sell her pink bicycle. It sat in the front yard that summer, streamers catching the breeze, training wheels eventually removed, a small symbol of the day. A little girl's love for her mother was brave, enough to stop 12 strangers on a road and remind them all what it means to be human. Kindness doesn't always arrive the way we expect it. Sometimes it rolls in on 2 wheels, smells like engine oil and open road, and has the gentlest hands you've ever seen. If this story moved your heart the way it moved ours, please show your support by giving a like, sharing this with someone who needs to believe in kindness today, and subscribing to our channel Kindness True Stories, where every story is a reminder that good people still exist and the world is better than it sometimes seems.